Future Vision Extra, using the internet and email with the Jaws Screenreader, presented by Stuart of Sight and Sound on the 1st of September 2021. Future Vision. Future Vision is a series of technology events aimed at people living with sight loss. Future Vision is a collaborative project between 6 local independent sight societies. Sight Advice South Lakes in Cumbria, My Sight Not, Nottingham, Sight Airedale in the Airedale area of North and West Yorkshire, Support for Sight in West and South Essex, Sight Concern Worcestershire in Worcestershire, and Sutton Vision in the London Borough of Sutton.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this special event. There was a request by Roger, who's on here, for Stuart Lawler from Sight and Sound to give a demonstration or presentation on Jaws, but very specifically about emailing and the internet. Anyway, Stuart very kindly agreed to come and help us, and I'm going to pass you over to Stuart. Okay, Stuart, welcome.
Thank you, Tim, and good morning, everybody, to those who are here live and those who are listening in later on to the recording. My name is Stuart Lawler. I'm from Sight and Sound Technology here in Dublin, by the way, so that's the strange Irish accent that you hear. But I look after Sight and Sound here in Ireland, but I also manage a lot of our online content. So if you've attended any of our webinars, or you listen to our podcasts, or you look at our blogs and anything that we do online, I'm somewhere involved in the background of that as well. Delighted to be here today again. It's great to be back with the Sight Advice South Lakes people, and Tim and the team do a great job, and we've been at a couple of sessions previously. And today we're talking about Jaws, and I suppose, you know, Jaws is one of those things that is always evolving, like all aspects of technology, I suppose. We're currently on version 2021, and next week, version 2022 will go into public beta, which means you can actually test it out before it is released. And you can do that from next week. It'll be available to download. If you choose to test the new version 2022, remember it is beta software, so it's not finalized. It may change. It may also not work as you might expect. So it's a wise idea only to do this if you're prepared to kind of experiment a bit, and maybe don't do it if it's your only machine, because you don't want to break something where you're not going to be able to have access to your machine. So today the request that came into us via Tim was in relation to Roger, who asked about using email with Jaws, and also using the internet for searching. And I'll talk as well a little bit about just the internet in general and how Jaws allows us to use the internet efficiently, because I think one of the key words when you're talking about screen readers is efficiency, being able to do things at the same speed as a sighted user. And this is, I think, really important if you're in the workplace, or if you're accessing Jaws maybe for education. You need to be able to get through a large volume of material, you know, in so much as is possible at the same time as everybody else. And there are lots of tools built into Jaws that will give you some help to do that. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to just set up my screen share and configure, just change my Jaws settings slightly so it speaks a little bit slower, and then we'll get going. So literally give me 2 seconds and I'll get this set up.
Share.
Okay, so I've started my screen share, and you will also be able to hear Jaws. I hope everybody's able to hear Jaws okay. If it's too loud or too low, please feel free to shout. So let's just talk a little bit about email access first. There are 2 key ways, I suppose, of using email. One is using what we'd call an email client, and the other is using email on the web. So lots of people nowadays use their Gmail, for example, on the web, and that's using a web browser. And this is doable, and highly accessible with Jaws. I'd probably argue it's not the most efficient way to use email, and it's not maybe not quite the quickest way to use email. The way I am going to show you in a second is using Microsoft Outlook. And Microsoft Outlook is part of the Microsoft Office 365 suite, or well, Microsoft Office suite. Microsoft Office 365 is one product in that suite, I suppose, and it's a subscription-based service. And if you want to use Microsoft Outlook as an email client to manage your email, and I would strongly suggest that it is probably the best there is out there in terms of its compatibility, not just with Jaws, but I think with screen readers in general. If you want to use Microsoft Outlook, then the best way to do it is by purchasing a Microsoft Office 365 subscription. And there are a couple of tiers you can get if you just want a single user, if it's just yourself using it. It's about, I should have done the conversions on this before I came on, of course. It's 69 euros a year, which I think is somewhere around 55 pounds sterling. And if you wanted the family version, which allows you to have 5 people in your household use Microsoft Office, it's 99 euros a year, and that's probably somewhere around 75 or 80 pounds sterling. Please feel free to correct the prices if anybody knows. It's a really good way to get the most up-to-date versions of Microsoft applications, and it's not just Microsoft Outlook. You'll get Word, you'll get Excel, you'll get PowerPoint, you'll get Microsoft Access, you can get Microsoft Publisher. There's loads of things thrown in there, and you get cloud storage in Microsoft OneDrive. So for the price you pay, it's really good. Now, you can go out and buy Microsoft Outlook as a standalone application. It costs about 150 pounds sterling, or you could buy Microsoft Office 2019, which is the application that's currently on sale for about 250 pounds, but that will never update. That's your license to keep, but it's not subscription based. So if you don't mind subscription models, and I guess all of us our lives are moving more towards subscription models now, aren't they? If you use Netflix, or if you use Amazon Prime, or Apple Music, or any of these things, Spotify, they're all charging us monthly, or sometimes annually, depending on what way you've signed up. And the reason they do that, of course, is because they kind of hook people in. So if you want to go with the subscription-based model, then Microsoft 365 is hard to beat. The other advantage of using this model is that as Jaws updates, the Office 365 updates that are passed down to the applications and that will automatically update for you will be the ones that are most likely to be compatible with Jaws, because these things are tested pre-release. So Microsoft updates that come along, it is very likely that Jaws is going to work with those. So I highly recommend the Microsoft 365 suite. Now, if you don't want to use Outlook, well, there's Thunderbird. And Thunderbird is available as well. A little bit harder to configure sometimes, but it is around. There's an old version, or at least it re-emerged a couple of years ago, of the old versions of Outlook Express. It was repurposed for Windows 10, but it's not an official Microsoft application. So outside of using email on the web, Microsoft Outlook is probably your best bet. So we're going to use Outlook today, show you a couple of things it does, give you a couple of keyboard shortcuts and ways that might help you. And then we will move on to talking about the internet. And I will stop after Microsoft Outlook to allow for any questions. So how do you start it? Well, you can launch it a couple of ways. In my case, there's an icon on my desktop for Microsoft Outlook, but I could also launch it from the Windows search area by pressing the Windows key. That used to be called, of course, the Windows Start menu, but it's a similar type feel. So let me just go to my desktop here.
Folder view, list view, Zoom, folder view, list.
So I'm on my desktop and it's highlighting the icon called Zoom because I opened Zoom to connect to this meeting with Tim. So let me, I could use I could use the arrow keys, obviously, to navigate around the desktop, but let me use first letter navigation, which is going to be quicker. I'll press the letter O.
OneNote 2016.
So this is OneNote, which we don't want.
Outlook.
And that's Outlook, what we do want. So let me press enter here to open Microsoft Outlook. And it's just
opening dash Outlook. Opening dash Outlook.
Jaws tells you it's loading at the moment. When Outlook opens, here we go. My Outlook makes all sorts of
inbox dash Stuart
funny sounds. When Outlook opens, it jumps, or it brings me to my inbox. You can actually configure Microsoft Outlook to tell you, to bring you to whatever folder you want. So if you like to start somewhere else, that's fine. Some people like to start in their calendar and have a look at what's on their calendar for the day, but mine will bring me to my inbox. That little sound you heard was an alert from my calendar telling me that I should be at the Site Advice South Lake session now. So if I wasn't, we'd be in big trouble. Thankfully, I am. One of the things I like to do in Microsoft Outlook when I start it up is get some status information. So what is, for example, how many messages are in my inbox and how many of them, crucially, are unread? How many have I not opened yet that I need to open? There, I'm going to give you some keystrokes, and these will be different depending on whether you're using a laptop or a desktop, and whether or not you have the Jaws laptop or desktop keyboard layout. So I will give you keystrokes for both, and you can use whichever ones you wish. I happen to be using a laptop, but I know a lot of people who use the Jaws laptop keyboard layout on the desktop, and that might sound very strange to you, but it's actually, I believe, a more efficient way to use Jaws because your hands never leave the QWERTY keyboard. But I'll give you the keystrokes for both. So on the desktop, the keystroke to check to read the status line, because that's really what we want to do in Microsoft Outlook. We want to get a sense of how our inbox is looking at the moment. On the desktop, the keystroke to do that is insert, which is the 0 key on the numeric keypad over on the right-hand side of the desktop keyboard, and the number 3 on the numeric keyboard. So that would be on the row just above the 0. So that's insert key, which is 0, and the number 3. On a laptop, it's Shift, caps lock, and the letter N for normal. So let me do that now. Shift, caps lock, and the letter N.
Items in view 12,101. Unread items in view 6. Reminders 1. Progress. All folders are up to date.
So it gave me a bit of information there. It said items in view 1, 2. I don't know. There's lots of items in my inbox. I tend to file my emails once a year by year, so it needs to happen at the end of the calendar year. That's why my inbox looks very full at the moment. But it did tell me, crucially, there are 6 unread emails, and it told me there's 1 reminder, which is the South Lakes session that we're at now. I want to get rid of the reminder first, so let's do that first. And then it told me at the end, it said all folders are up to date. Now, the reason it said that is because this is a Microsoft Exchange or Microsoft Office 365 email account. It's corporate email that we use in Sight and Sound, which means that it's syncing all the time. You're all the time connected. And as emails arrive, they automatically come to your inbox. With something like Gmail or maybe another service, you would connect to the service first to find out if you have any emails. So it's slightly different, but essentially the operation is identical. Let's just dismiss this calendar reminder first. So I'm going to press Alt and Tab.
Meeting in Jaws Professional.
I'm Alt and Tabbing till I get to the reminder.
Zoom. Star untitled -1 reminder left parent S right parent. List view. Site advice South Lakes Jaws session 20 minutes overdue.
So now it's in the little reminder window which popped up. The reason it popped up is because I told it to pop up to give me a reminder. So now it tells me it's 20 minutes overdue. I'm going to dismiss the reminder, and the shortcut to do that is Alt and D.
Inbox dash.
And I'm back to my inbox. Now, my messages arrive with the most recent messages at the bottom. So if I press the End key on the desktop keyboard, and if you can visualize a desktop keyboard, you have that little, what they call the 6-pack, kind of in the middle, beside the QWERTY element. You have Insert, Delete, Home, End, Page Up, and Page Down. So if I press the End key,
Unread. Purchasing. Quote.
These are unread messages. Jaws tells me.
Unread. Fianuala Murphy. FW: draft survey.
So these are unread messages.
Unread. Elaine Argue. Unread. Fianua. Unread. Attachment. Fianua. Caroline Smith.
So, and now I've passed my unread messages. Now I'm on messages that are read. I've read this one.
Attachment. BT Cloud Work.
This message has an attachment. You heard Jaws saying there that there was an attachment. So there's something connected to this message that I could view if I wanted. Let me just go to something I have replied to.
Index Braille. Lorraine. FedEx. Catherine replied. Jenny at selvish.com. Your FedEx pickup period.
So this is an email from somebody in Korea who's arranging to take back a piece of technology. But you see, Jaws said the word replied.
Reply.
So that means that I have sent a reply to that email already. Now, if I'm in my inbox, I want to open that email. So if I press on the enter key, Jaws will read this message automatically. So let's see what happens. I'll press enter. And
Hey, so Shin just said that you need to call him to book the date and time period. I don't apostrophe T know if the email you received indicated that question. He said it apostrophe S what is called a left quote reserve label right quote period. J period.
And that's the end of that email. And I'm going to press the escape key to close it.
Inbox.
And bring me back to the inbox. Now, you'll see as Jaws was reading that email, it also read a lot of punctuation. That's because I have Jaws set up at the moment to sound like it had just been installed. I have slightly different settings on my Jaws. And of course, if you're a Jaws user already, you'll know that Jaws is highly customizable. So that's the I suppose browsing the inbox. If I want to just flick into my other folders, there are multiple ways, by the way, to do everything in Microsoft Outlook. So the way I tell you may not be the way that you do things, or you may find a different way. Use whichever way you prefer. I love the Control Y keystroke. Control Y is the go to folder keystroke. So let's press Control Y.
Go to folder dialog. Preview inbox : 8 unread messages.
So now my inbox has 8 unread messages. Some more messages came in while we were chatting. I like to frequently go to my sent items. So I'll press the letter S.
Sent items.
And I'll press enter.
Sent items Stuart.Lawler@soundtechnology.e.
Now we're in the sent items. So let's get some status information about this. Again, I could press insert and the number 3 on the keypad on my desktop keyboard, or shift caps lock and N on my laptop keyboard.
Items in view 7,709. Progress. All folders are up to date.
So in this case, it just told me items in view, and then it just told me all folders are up to date. There's no unread emails in my sent items, and I wouldn't expect there to be. If I want to go back to the inbox, handy keystroke, Control Shift and I.
Inbox Stuart.Lawler@sound.
Always brings you back to the inbox. Now, the other thing I want to mention is the Microsoft Outlook calendar. You may or may not have the need to use this, but for me, I kind of live out of it, to be honest. So what does it do? Well, it allows you to essentially manage your diary. And in our case here at Sight and Sound, because we have lots of shared calendars, for example, one of my colleagues who works with me here in Ireland, I can manage her diary and see where she is at any time. It also allows you, when you are booking meetings with people who work in the same company as you, to see other people's free time. So it's much easier to schedule time if you want to get everybody together. If I press, again, my Control and Y,
go to full,
and if I press C for calendar,
calendar closed,
and press enter. Now, the reason it said calendar closed is because there is other calendars inside this folder. So for example, there's my calendar, there's a calendar of a few of my colleagues who I share with so that I can see their calendars. But I just want to go into my personal calendar. So I'm going to press enter here.
0-Stuart.Lawler@soundtechnology.e day view.
And I'm in my day view. There are many different views in the calendar. You can view by month, by day, by week, by working week, or you can view everything on the calendar in one long list, which sometimes is useful, but is often a bit overkill. I tend to use the day view. Now, as I move through the days of the week,
Thursday, 2 September 2021, 1 item.
so I have one appointment tomorrow. I'm not actually sure what that appointment is, so I want to check it out. So I'm going to hit the tab key to get some details on it.
Liz Frankland, Polaris Training, 11:00 to 12:00 Thursday, 2 September 2021, time busy, location HTT.
Okay, so that's some training that I have tomorrow with somebody. If I right arrow to Friday,
Friday, 3 September 2021, 1 item.
there's one item on Friday as well. And if I go over to, let's say, Monday
6 September 2021, 1 item.
Now, next week, next Wednesday, I know that I have...
Wednesday, 8 September 2021, 3 items.
There's 3 items here. So let's hit the tab key and find out what they are.
Sharon and Stuart office day, 08:00 to 16:30.
So that's telling me that I have an office day next week. I'm in the office as opposed to working from home. If I tab again.
Metro Blind Sport and Sight and Sound Technology initial meeting, 09:00 to 10:00.
So that's a meeting we have next week at 9 o'clock. And the last item.
New term, new start, time to refresh your shortcuts, exclaim, 14:00.
This is a webinar that we have next Wednesday afternoon at 2 o'clock for anybody who's interested actually in keyboard shortcuts. We're going to do a whole session on keyboard shortcuts next Wednesday at 2 o'clock. So that's in my diary. If I press Control Shift and I,
inbox.
I'm back to the inbox. Now, let's just look at a couple of, I suppose, what might feel like very rudimentary things, but let's just talk about creating emails. So Control and N for new will always bring you into a new message.
Untitled -message left parent HTML right parent to edit.
So I want to send an email to Tim. I have a couple of Tims in my Outlook. What Outlook does in trying to be helpful, I suppose, is it tries to predict who you want to send email to based on who you've been communicating with recently. You can, I hasten to add, turn this feature off if it's annoying you, but I kind of find it useful. So this is separate to the address book or to the Outlook contacts folders, which are separate again. This is just a quick sort of way to keep an eye on who you've been contacting lately. So I'm going to type in the word Tim.
Anthony Shrub.
And I'm going to use my arrow keys.
Tim Ward, Tim Ward, period. Tim@atlas.org.
Well, there we go. There's Tim straight off. So I'll hit the tab key. And now I can verify this. I can ask Jaws to tell me, to make sure I've sent it to the right person. There's a couple of ways I can do this. If I'm on a desktop, I can press the 0 key on the keypad and the number 8 on the keypad. That reads the current line. If I'm on a laptop, I can press the caps lock key with the letter I.
To edit Tim Ward less Tim@atlas.org.upgrader semicolon.
Okay, and I've been told that Tim's email address is now in the to field. I can hit the tab key.
CC edit.
I don't want to copy this email to anyone, but if I did, I would enter it into the CC field.
BCC edit.
This is the BCC or blind carbon copy field. This is where you can put people into the email if you don't want the sender or the person who's receiving the email to know that other people saw it. So if I was sending an email to Tim, but I also wanted my boss to know I had been in touch with Tim, but I didn't want Tim to know that, it's a very sneaky way of operating, to be honest. But it's very useful if you want to email multiple people at the same time, because obviously you have to be careful that you don't inadvertently publish everybody's email in the to field, because then everybody would see everyone else's email address. So you can use the BCC for a couple of things.
Subject edit.
And here's the subject, and I'll just type hello as the subject.
Hello -message left parent HTML right parent message edit.
And then I pressed the tab key again that said message, but you'll also notice it said hello because now the message is called hello, because that's the subject I gave it. And it said message HTML, which is the type of message format. So this means that it will allow things like links and things like that to be inserted as opposed to plain text. So I'll say, hi, Tim. Now I should add that my JAWS is not speaking as I type. That's because I had switched that off. Hope all is well with you. Regards, Stuart.
Hi, Tim, comma. Hope all is well with you, period. Blank regards, comma, blank, Stuart.
So there we go. We sent Tim an email. Let's send it now by pressing Alt with the letter S.
Inbox.
My Outlook gives all these swishing sounds, which yours may not give, but the email is gone to Tim. Let's verify that. So if Tim rang me and said, Stuart, I never got that email, I'd say, God, Tim, I'm sure I sent it to you, but let me just check. Hang on there a sec. I'd press Control and Y.
Go to
I'd press S for sent items.
1. Sent items. Sent
I'm
items.
in my sent items. Let me press the End key to jump to the most recent message in my sent items.
Tim Ward, hello, wet 01.
And I can see, yeah, Tim, I sent it to you. So I could always send it to him again.
Yes, I have it. It's here.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, so that's a quick, I suppose, a very quick look. I mean, we could talk a lot more about Microsoft Outlook. It has lots of other functionality. Not all of it is useful. It depends in the context in which you want to use it. But I would recommend, if you don't have Outlook and you want to use it, then the Microsoft Office subscription, Office 365 subscription, is going to be the easiest way that you can get hold of Outlook. So Tim, I'm happy to stop if there's any questions at this point.
Any questions? I'm just amazed I went through that without any mistakes whatsoever. It just shows you how, if you know what you're doing on JAWS, how slick it can be. So yeah, any questions, anybody?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Hi. How would you do add an attachment or view an attachment, please?
Yeah, great question. So there's a couple of ways. Let's talk about adding attachments first. There's a couple of ways of adding attachments. You can do it from, so let's go back to this. Let's create another email for Tim here. Sure, Tim will have loads of emails by the end of the session.
Untitled.
So Tim.
Anthony, Tim Ward, Tim Ward.
And I'm just going to tab over here and I'm going to say file attachment. And I'll say, hi, Tim. Please see attached.
Please see attached, period.
Now, so I've written an email to Tim. Now, if I want to insert an attachment, I can do it from the insert menu in Outlook, which is Alt and N. And then I can tab over to insert file attachment. But there's a quicker way to do it, and at least I find it a quicker way. And that's to go to your File Explorer and find the file that you want to insert and copy it to the clipboard with Control and C, and then paste it into the email message, and it will insert it as an attachment. So let's just do that. So I'll go to my desktop.
Folder.
I'll go to my documents
on one.
And I will send Tim.
World site day video worlds VTVI underline website underline contact dash details underline NCSE underline.
Okay, I think this is just a PDF that we had downloaded. So I'm just going to send this to Tim. So I'm going to copy it with Control and C. I'm going to go back to my message that I had sent to Tim.
File attachment dash message left.
So this is the message here.
Hi Tim, comma, please see attached, period, blank, Stuart.
And I'm going to press Control and V. Now, I don't have any confirmation right now that the message has an attachment, but let's check that.
Hi.
So I'm at the top of the message. Hi, Tim. Let's press Shift and Tab.
Attached VTVI underline website underline contact.
So it has now attached a PDF, which is the one I copied. And now if I press Alt and S,
my document,
it has sent Tim that file attachment.
Desktop.
In terms of viewing an attachment, if you enter on a message to open it, and if it has an attachment, JAWS will have told you that there's an attachment. If you press Shift and Tab once, you'll be in the list of attachments. If there's more than one, you can use the arrow keys to find the one you want and enter to open it. And that will obviously open the attachment in whatever program. So if it's a Word attachment, for example, it'll open in Word. If it's a media file, it'll open in whatever your default media player is. Any other questions about Outlook?
You choose to use a computer voice rather than a human voice. Is that easier for you when it's?
Yeah, good question. Yes, so the answer is, I suppose, because I've been using Jaws for a long time, and to be honest, personally, I'm not. I've never spent a huge amount of time using these. What do they call them? Natural sounding voices, or whatever way they call them. For me, they're not that. I find when you're listening to them at speed, they don't sound as good. So yeah, I use the old style synthetic speech. But I know lots of people who are using the natural sounding voices and really liking it. Okay, so are we happy to move to the web, Tim?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so I'm just going to close Outlook because it'll be giving us notifications all the time, so we'll try to minimize any interruptions. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the internet, and I suppose first of all, let's talk about browsers, what's supported and what you potentially should use. These days, we are suggesting to people and recommending that the ones to use are either Chrome or Microsoft Edge, and that's the Chromium version of Microsoft Edge, which is the newer version of Edge. So Google Chrome is a really good browser, updated regularly, works particularly well with Google services. So if you're using Gmail, for example, Chrome's going to work really well with that. If you want to use Microsoft Edge, I find it equally as good. They all have this functionality where you can sync your settings. So for example, I have my Microsoft Edge on my computer here, which is my work computer, and my personal computer signed into the same Microsoft account. So if I add things to my favorites, they automatically sync. My passwords that I save when I log into websites automatically sync. It's just a really easy way to operate. If you want to use Firefox, that's also very accessible. It can sometimes be a little more flaky than the other two, and I'd probably suggest Chrome or Edge over Firefox, but that does not mean that Firefox is not accessible. And there's people who've used other browsers like the Brave browser, Opera, I think, as well. And there's others that people have been playing with, and I think generally the results have been positive. The one that you do not want to use anymore is Internet Explorer. And we still come across people who are using Internet Explorer. It was around for years and years and years, and to its credit, it lasted an awful long time. It was a really good browser, and it had some very sophisticated functionality built into it with Jaws. It's not available anymore. It's not being patched or updated by Microsoft, and it is very insecure for lots of things you might want to do online, like online banking or shopping. So whatever you decide to use, do not use Internet Explorer. Okay, I'm going to use Microsoft Edge. But the other thing I want to say before we go to the internet is that from the perspective of a screen reader user, Jaws repaints, I suppose, a web page to give us a view from top to bottom, left to right, as opposed to in columns or visual layout. So your understanding of, or lack of understanding of a web page's visual layout should have no impact on your browsing experience of that page with a screen reader. That's not to say, of course, that every page is going to be perfect. We still come up against accessibility challenges on the web, and I think they'll always be with us, unfortunately. But from the perspective of the blind or low vision screen reader user, we don't really need to know how a website is laid out visually. We need to be able to have a way to get to the information we need as quickly as possible. So to do that, JAWS uses something called the virtual cursor or virtual viewer. And when the virtual viewer is enabled, JAWS makes use of a lot of the keyboard keys, and you'll see this in a minute, to do certain things, to navigate you to certain elements of the page. When the virtual viewer is not enabled, you are interacting directly with the website itself. So for example, you might want to interact directly with the website when you're searching for something, or if you're booking a flight, or if you're on Gmail and you're using it on the web, because you need to be able to interact with Gmail. But when you're browsing the page for information, you're interacting with JAWS to instruct it how to, or what piece of information that you want to get. So that's the key difference, and also the key reason for JAWS having the virtual viewer. So I'm going to open Microsoft Edge. I'm on my desktop. Let's press M.
Microsoft Edge.
There we go. And I'm going to press Enter.
New tab dash Microsoft Edge. App bar toolbar. Address and search bar edit. Search or enter web address. Control.
So search or enter web address. That's where I am. I've opened Edge and it wants me to put in an address or search for something. So let's go to Google. So I'll type
Google.com.
And Google's actually filled in because I had used Google already. So we'll press enter here.
Loading page. https://www.google.com. Google-Microsoft Edge. Search region. Google. Loading complete.
And Microsoft Edge will give you some helpful information about the page loaded. And then sometimes it'll say things like still loading, and then it says loading complete. That functionality, that verbosity, those kind of messages are relatively new in JAWS, and I suspect very soon we'll see some settings that will allow us to turn them off, because, you know, if you're using this thing all the time, you don't really need to know that the page is loading all the time. And sometimes the challenge with screen readers is how to make sure we're not overloaded with audible information. I don't know about anybody else, but I sometimes find that, you know, when I get to the end of the workday, I've got this audio overload in my head, and it comes from just listening to too much synthetic speech during the day. So I think we have to be careful that we minimize that. So we're now on Google.
Blank. Google. Search by voice button. Search edit combo.
And it says search edit combo. So it wants me to search for something. Now, if you're doing this and you're working along with me, or you're listening, or you're going to try this, your JAWS may very well make a sound like this. That sound indicates that you are in an edit box, or what's called forms mode. And we are now interacting directly with the web application or website, in this case, Google. And we can now start typing. When you hear this sound, you're coming out of forms mode. So you're back into the virtual view. So you need.
I didn't hear a sound. Can you do that?
Didn't hear a sound? Yeah. Do you hear that?
Hear
Yes,
that?
I
Yeah. You should have heard a sound there. Yeah. So that's the forms mode sound. When you come out of forms mode, you're back in the virtual view, but this will, in your case, this will happen automatically. I've just switched this off on my JAWS because I use it slightly differently. So I'm going to go into forms mode, and I'm going to type, I don't know, I'm going to type September back to school. A very random search, and we'll press enter.
Loading page. September back to school dash Google search. September back to school dash Google search. Loading complete. September.
Okay, so it said loading complete. I've pressed the control key. Probably should have said this at the beginning, but just in case anyone doesn't know, the control key will always stop JAWS from speaking. Sometimes it's maybe the most important key to know. So I've pressed control to stop. Now my search results are loaded on this Google page. I want to sort of quickly browse them, and I want to quickly browse them because I want to get an overview as to the type of things that Google has brought me back based on what I typed in. To do that, I'm going to do something that I think you will end up doing a lot on the web, and that's browsing by headings. Headings are a great way to denote information on the web. So headings are, think of them as sections. So there are major sections, and then there are subsections within a major section, and there may be a subsection within a subsection. And we call these heading levels. Headings go from level 1 right up to level 7, I believe. I don't think I've ever seen a level 7. But generally, you might see headings 1, 2, and 3. Heading 1, it would be a main section. So for example, chapter 1. Heading level 2 might be chapter 1.1. And heading level 3 might be 1.1.1. So these are subsections within a major section. And the next time you see level 1 would be the next main chapter. So you may see these headings and different levels of headings on the web quite a lot. Websites are using them more and more to easily denote key points of a website. And in the case of Google, it uses them to give us our search results. So to browse by heading, I'm going to press the letter H.
Accessibility links heading level 1.
There's a few headings at the top of every Google page, and one of them is accessibility links. We need to keep pressing H till we hear search results.
Search results heading level 1.
Here we go. The next time I press H, it's going to read the first search result to me.
Images for September back to school heading level 2 link.
So there's some images.
Guided search filters web results heading level 2.
And here's my web results.
School holiday dates - Department of Education and Skills heading level 3 link.
So this is a heading level 3 because it's a subsection of the search results.
27 July, 2021 - Minister Foley confirms plans for full reopening ... heading level 3 link.
So this is another search result.
September return to school - CPSMA heading level 3 link.
You'll notice that each of those had the word link at the end of them. That means this is a link. If I was to access this search result, it would open the corresponding link and bring me to a new page on the web. So because of course the internet is full of links, linking us from one page to the next. So if I want to open that search result, for example, I will press enter.
Main region, September return to school - alert exclaim PDF document load as completed period.
Now this is a PDF file, so this was a link to a PDF document, which I'm not even sure what it is, but it's loaded the PDF document in Microsoft Edge.
Do not exhaust their sick leave if required to be absent from school due to unlabeled graphic bullet concerns regarding school *s ability to manage non-compliant
So this is some kind of a memo or a policy document that had popped up as part of the search results.
Going back, loading page.
If I want to go back to my search results, I'll press Alt with the left arrow, and we're back in Google with our September school or whatever it is we searched for back in this list of search results. A lot of what you'll do with the internet is exploring and just playing around. So let me go back up to one of the first search results, which I think was a news article. I pressed H to browse by heading, but if I want to go back in reverse, I'm going to press Shift and H.
Press September back. September web school 20 September people also school and pizza web guided search images for web results at school holiday dates - 27 July, 2021 - Minister Foley.
That's the one I wanted. So Minister Foley, who is the Irish Minister for Education, and that's why these results are coming up local to Ireland, because of course I'm doing a Google search in Ireland. It's picking up my geolocation. So I'll press enter here.
September back to school - Google search heading level 3 link.
Now
27 July,
I'm at the top of this page. I want to find the word minister. The word minister is somewhere on this page. So we talked at the beginning of the session about efficiency and about being able to do things quickly. If I want to search for something, I'll press Control and F for find.
Jaws find dialog. Find what
And I'll just type minister and I'll press enter.
27 July, 2021 Minister Foley confirms plans for full reopening of schools for the new minister spam.
And it actually put my cursor on the M of the word minister. Now, if I want to
Our website
do that again, I can do Control caps lock and F, which is the Jaws find
Jaws
command.
find dialog. Find what edit combo minister.
And I'll press enter again.
Heading level 1 July 27th, 20 minister.
And it's brought me right to the word minister. So the Jaws find command on a web page is a really good way of being able to navigate. The other thing you might find on news websites. So let's open, let me open one that I use here a lot called the journal.ie, which is a news website.
App bar.
So I'm just going to go to the journal.
Again,
Again, it filled in for me because I've used it a lot.
Read, share.
Now, the journal.ie has a similar thing as what we saw at Google. There's headings to link every news story.
UK apostrophe surging COVID rates provided apostrophe sobering apostrophe lesson as cabinet agreed apostrophe new phase apostrophe heading level 1 link.
There's loads of apostrophes there.
Ireland has taken over the presidency of the UN Security Council heading level 1 link. Biden calls U.S. evacuation from Afghanistan apostrophe extraordinary success apostrophe heading level 1 link.
So if we wanted to read that story, we'd press enter.
Loading page. The journal.e-read, share and shape the news. Heading level 1 link. Biden calls U.S. Biden.
I'm going to go to the top of this page
Biden.
And I'm going to get to the start of the story.
Biden call same link same U.S. President Joe Biden graphic. U.S. President Joe Biden. Image call updated. U.S. President Joe Biden has called the U.S. airlift of more than 1-2.
So there's the start of the story. U.S. President. I'm just going to put the start of this line. And I'm going to use a key called jump to line. So I'm going to press the letter J.
Jump to line dialog. Enter line number 34.
And it says 34. So it's telling me that line 34 on this page is where the story starts. Now, the journal used the same format for all their stories. So in theory, and I really hope I'm not going to be proven wrong on this in a sec, jumping to line 34 with Jaws should bring me to the start of any story on this website. So let's go back.
Going back.
And pick
Loading.
another one.
Ireland has Biden. Ireland has taken over the presidency of the UN Security Council heading level 1 link.
Let's try that one. So let's press enter here.
Loading page. Ireland has taken.
And let's press J.
Load. Jump to line.
And type in 34 and press enter.
Link Irish Mission. Link status link view on Twitter. Related reads, for the next 30 days, Ireland will chair debates and organize the agenda for the Security Council period. Heading.
That actually didn't work. And the reason that didn't work is because in that story, they chose to splice in a piece from Twitter from the Irish government because they were saying they were delighted to be taking over the presidency of the UN Security Council. So in most cases where the story formats are the same, and you could do this on the BBC news website as well, for example, any website that is relatively static and that uses the same format for presenting information to you, you can use this jump key. You can also, and this is going kind of beyond what we're going to do today, but you can also configure Jaws so that you can set what are called place markers. And I would sort of, if you were to ask me to explain these are similar to breadcrumbs, where you can drop something at a particular point on a page and then easily get back to it. Or it's like an anchor, so you can easily get back to this particular point on the page if you want to find some text. So the web with Jaws is very, very powerful. And I suppose it's what the people who make Jaws will put a lot of their time into in the development cycles. And that's because we are using the web so much more now in our everyday life to do all sorts of things. So Tim, I'm happy to take any questions if there are any.
Can I give you a task to do?
Please.
Could you go to a website and find something for me, and just go and do, something that you haven't researched before?
Yes.
Can you go to retinauk.org.uk, and can you find on their shop page a T-shirt to buy?
Let's have a look.
Blank.
retinauk.org.uk.
Loading.
Yes.
So let's go to Retina UK
Home
first of
dash
all.
retina.
And this is a great, and thank you,
Loading.
because this is, I have not seen this website before. So you want to go to the shop.
Yes.
Home dash
Now there's probably a lot of ways we could
Sign up.
look at the shop, but I'm going to try to use the find command to see, can I get to it?
Jaws find.
And I'm going to type the word shop,
Link Retina UK shop.
and I'm going to press enter.
Last place room. Link Retina UK shop. Loading page. Home dash Retina UK. Link Retina UK shop. Shop dash Retina U shop.
Okay, so now we're in the shop. So let's have a look at how the shop is laid out.
Search heading level 4. Edit. Submit search button. List of 6 items. Link A. Link A. Link A. Retina UK shop heading level 1. Show your support of Retina UK with our range of bespoke products. Period. Delivery of items may be delayed due to the current restrictions in place in response to the coronavirus outbreak. Period. A member of the fundraising team.
So I'm just flicking through the text here.
Be in touch. Send mail link figure. Retina UK staff graphic. Figure end. Visited link. Cart left parent 0 right parent.
So this is the cart.
List of 9 items. Link graphic A car sticker in blue with white writing laid on the wooden desktop. Heading level 2 link car sticker.
So these seem to have headings. So let's see, can we get the next heading?
Retina UK cupcake toppers heading level 2 link. Retina UK favor heading level 2 link. Retina UK favor with batch heading level. Retina UK pin batch heading. Retina UK place card heading. Retina UK T-shirt heading level 2 link.
So we press enter here.
Loading page list with 9 items. The Retina UK T-shirt shown from TE front with the Retina UK logo printed in white on the dark blue shirt. Retina UK nav.
And they give a nice little explanation or description of what it is. So I should be able to add it to my cart. There might be a button that says add to cart. If there is, we can get to that by pressing the letter B for button.
Add to cart button.
Look at that. And we could press enter to add that to the cart.
Oh, look at that, hey, Roger. Did you see that?
Yeah, no, that's good. That's what I wanted, to give you something that you hadn't been familiar with. That you could
Yep.
find, just to show me how easy or how challenging that was to go to a website that you weren't familiar with and find something. Yeah, thank you.
No problem.
No, that was excellent. That's quite impressive, Stuart. Well done. And so the Retina UK T-shirt is probably set up correctly as well. So we hope so.
Well, absolutely. And I suppose,
Jaws meeting.
sorry, I'm just going to switch my share off. I suppose the thing with the these websites like the Retina UK, you would kind of expect them to be accessible. I suppose it's worth saying that not every shopping experience might be as easy as what we just saw. So for example, things like Amazon are very good. And it's fair to say that a lot of online retailers now are much more aware of people, of screen reader users. And I think if you find something that doesn't work, it's a great idea to get in touch with them.
One of the things with Screen Reader is that there's an enormous amount of shortcuts that you've got to learn, and I just kind of get put off by the fact that that's a challenge, I think, to remember everything. Are there like certain ones that you use as a basis, and then you build on that over a period of time? I mean, there's just some key.
Yeah, like so for example, on the web this morning, those headings using the letter H was definitely one I use all the time.
Yeah.
Using the arrow keys to flick around text on a website. The Outlook ones we talked about earlier, but it's also worth mentioning that I don't know, Roger, what version of Jaws you're using.
I don't have Jaws at all. I'm just.
You don't have Jaws. Okay.
Yeah.
So there is they started this year putting this voice input feature into Jaws. So you can ask Jaws, for example, to do certain things instead of having to memorize the shortcuts, and they're going to build on that. So, for example, we could have asked it this morning to list all the headings on a web page instead of issuing a shortcut key. So you're right. There are many keyboard shortcuts in Jaws, and I don't know that anybody knows them all. I certainly don't. There's ways you can look them up, but the idea now is with the voice assistant, they call it. With the voice assistant, you can at least sort of not have to remember all these, and you can use natural language. So it's good. It would be one to watch over the next little while, I think.
Right. I mean, the reason I wanted the demo was I still have sight to see the screen, but I mean, my sight just deteriorates slowly year by year. And so, there will be a time, or could be a time in the future when I will need to go to a screen reader. And that's kind of worrying to me. So I just wanted to see how, that adaptation comes and how easy it is to do that. So that's why I wanted to explore Jaws in a little bit more detail.
Well, you're absolutely doing the right thing and kind of checking this out in advance. In terms of actually using the screen reader, I suppose there's loads of resources out there, and when you get to the point where you want to explore it, do either through the team and in Site Advice, or give us a shout, and we'd be happy to help if we can.
Yeah, Sight and Sound, I mentioned at the start, Roger, very kindly donated a copy of Jaws, which I put on a laptop. And all the laptop has on is Jaws and Microsoft Office on purpose. I'm not loading it with anything else. It's just for that one reason. So if you wanted to borrow it, I say for 2, 3, 4 weeks, you absolutely could. Or I know next week that Stuart mentioned he's doing something on shortcuts. But if you attended that, for example, quite happily, you can take our laptop and have a mess at it live with Stuart. Obviously, turn the sound down. but yeah, but if you wanted to, planning for the future is quite important, and that's why we have that resource here. And Sight and Sound, I know I think Jenny's on the line. Do provide really good backup as well. You've only got to ring them up. So
yeah, so we have a tech support team in Northampton, and if anybody obviously needs any support, do give us a shout.
But it looks like easy shortcuts, isn't it? Yeah, there is a lot to learn. But I suppose what I was impressed with was when you know what you're doing. Because my site's fine, Stuart.
Yeah,
there's nothing on there that you're doing it as well as a sighted person could do, really. In getting the same outcomes that I would probably get.
And I suppose that's where we want to be in so much as is possible. And you'll always have curveballs that are thrown to you when something isn't accessible or something changes. But we do want to get to a point where, in so much as possible, screen reader users can do everything they need.
Stuart?
Yeah.
Is it worth having, because I've been an Apple Mac user for many years, and I'm now back to Jaws, having not used it for 10. So obviously it's advanced quite a lot. Is it worth having favorites saved, or is it just a case of, just starting to type in Google like you did and it will come up because you've used it quite recently?
I sort of still, I don't tend to favorite as much stuff as I used to, although saying that, there's things I will always have, like things like my online banking is favorited, and when I sort of switched over from Internet Explorer, all my old favorites from years ago were automatically moved. So I think it's still good to have it, but yeah, things that you use regularly will automatically will fill in for you on the address bar, although you can switch that off as well.
So do you just tab to favorites?
Yeah, so the favorites is in the file menu. So if you go to file, you go down to favorites and press enter. And then there's like a tree view of favorites. And if you want to add a page to your favorites, it's Control D to add to your favorites. So yeah, if there's anything else, we're happy to take questions. And obviously, if there's anybody who's looking for support or who needs any assistance, please get in touch with Sight and Sound in Northampton and our tech support. We have a tech support team there who will be very happy to help answer your questions.
Stuart, one more thing.
Yes.
I did ask, I was on a call with, I think it was the one with Tim the other day, with Graham Page, and I was asking how to get to the power off button using keystrokes. And I can't quite remember what Graham said because I've been on holiday since. Because basically, I've still got some vision. So it seems to be that I used to, I think, press the Windows key and then be able to tab up and it would go shut down or power off or something, and then you shut down or whatever. You can't seem to do that because you get this massive list of stuff.
I suspect and I know Graham, I suspect what Graham may have suggested was the Windows key with the letter X for X-ray.
A Windows key with X. I thought it was Control X. Okay.
Windows X, and then if you press U,
X.
and if you press U, you'll go into the shutdown menu, and you have shutdown, restart, sleep. Those options are there.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. So I was thinking it was Control. It wasn't working this morning. I'm like,
Windows X will do it.
Windows X and then U. Brilliant. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. Well, we've gone over, which is always a good sign. But that was excellent, Stuart. And I know, when's your event on your event next week?
Yeah. And how do we join, please? Because I tried to find out on one the other day and I wasn't sure how to.
Yeah, so it's next Wednesday at 2:00. I'll send Tim. Will I send you the registration info?
Of course you can. Everybody on here I sort of know, so I can get it to them. Okay.
Brilliant.
Oh,
Thank
that'd
you.
be great.
I'll send that over to you in a minute.
Thank you, Stuart.
Yeah.
Thank
No
you,
problem.
Excellent. Okay. Right.
So thanks everybody.
We will obviously we'll call on you again in the future.
Yeah, we're always available. So please give us a shout.
Absolutely, yeah. That was excellent. The best one I've seen. I've seen a couple on Jaws and Screenreader. I thought that was the best one I've ever seen, to be honest with you. So thank you.
Check us in the post.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks a million.
Future Vision and live well. We hope you enjoyed this presentation. Future Vision events take place on the fourth Thursday of each month at 10 AM. Live Well sessions concentrate on making the most of life with sight loss. These sessions take place on the second Thursday of each month at 10 AM. To attend the next session or to suggest future topics, please contact your local Sight Society, who will be able to provide you with the Zoom link.